Hello, everyone, and welcome out to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I sit down with some of my friends in the local Columbus, Ohio theater and improv scene and talk a bunch of geeky stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all of it definitely geeky. If you enjoy our program, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and to leave a review. Our official sponsor of this show is Audible, with over 200,000 titles to choose from. There's some great books that you can listen to, like, for example, Stephen King's It, or Where the Crawdad Sings by Delia Owens. And, of course, there's the Rachel Hollis books, Girl, Wash Your Face, and Girl, Stop Apologizing, and much, much more. If you go to audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky, choose your first book free and 2 Audible originals each month. It's ad-free, premium audio you listen to offline, no interruptions, and guys, you own your library. Keep your books even if you cancel. There's a 30% off and exclusive member-only savings, easy exchanges. Don't love a book? Swap it for free anytime. It's $14.95 per month after the trial. You can cancel anytime as well. If you're interested, all you have to do is have an Amazon account, and if you don't have one, it's really simple to create one. Again, go to audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Did you know that we are proud members of the It's All Been Done Presents Network? Well, speaking of the network, Squatch Smashers. Some say it's a scripted rednecky hello from Magic Tavern. Others say other things, but don't listen to them. If you like your hijinks wacky and your sass extra sassy, then listen in to the simple podcast within a podcast within a podcast about a paranormal investigator working out of a t-shirt kiosk in a rundown mall that evolves into the tale of a Bigfoot hunter, a vampire, and a killbot, and Elvis the Necromancer on the run from the nefarious government forces and random cryptids in an enormous underground series of catacombs. Whew. The excellent, somebody at the New York Times, probably if they heard the show, season of Squatch Smashers continues. Alright guys, in this particular episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, it's a little bit more unique than the normal episodes that we do here, in that I am talking to one of the many talented writers of Madlab's Young Writers 2019 program and their mentor. I'm speaking to Kara, who is the young writer, and then her mentor Tay, and I think it's a great episode. I hope you guys check out the Young Writers 2019 shows. There are 2 nights each with different sets of programming. The performances are Friday and Saturday between July 12th and July 27th, 2019, with 2 Sunday matinees at 3 p.m. For more information on tickets and the show itself, please visit Madlab on the web at madlab.net. Again, we kind of go into what the Young Writers program is at Madlab. It's a great program for young writers. I really am blown away by how wonderful the program is and how great these kids are with some of their plays, their shorts. And with Kara, we're going to go a little bit into hers and a deep dive into her process as a writer, and Tay as a mentor. I think it's really fascinating. I hope you guys enjoy this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. One of the things that I really like, and I wish I had it when I was young, was the Young Writers program, because I do love to write. And when did you start getting interested into writing?
I started writing, creative writing a lot in 8th grade, because my dad over the summer was like, Kara, you're good at writing, you should do more of that. So he was like, at the end of the summer, I want to see you, I want you to give me a story. So I, being myself, wrote him 100 pages. And he was like, I said a story, not a book. So that I kind of gave up on it. I actually never finished it, but then I just started writing a lot more. And a lot of stuff I did, I wrote a lot of really long stuff like that, but it never ended up getting finished. Mm-hmm. And then in high school, I joined drama club, and that was super fun. And then sophomore year, I was like, my drama teacher sent out the email for Madlab, and I was like, oh, a play? I've never written a play before. That sounds really interesting. So then I wrote one, and then they sent it back because there were, I think, 9 characters in it, and there was a huge set, and I was like, I want this whole production for it. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's not realistic.
So I was at the first reading. So for those listening, this is how this generally works, is that with young writers, They get the writers with their script that they submit in. Mentors work with them, and then from an outsider's perspective, stage reading just happens. I know that's not everything that happens. Stage reading 1 happens, and then stage reading 2 happens. Maybe some things are different, and then the show. That's literally, and I know way more happens than that. So was that the one that you submitted with the 9 characters, and that's what? No,
this one was actually different. So the 9 characters one was one I submitted last year,
Okay.
I went through and I edited it and I used it for something else. I put it on my school because my drama teacher, she's very easily swayed. So then this year I wrote a new one because I was like, I'm going to learn from last year. I'm going to try again.
Nice.
So mine only has 2 characters now. Very minimal set.
First off, I want to applaud the people in your life. Sound very creatively awesome in terms of they're very supportive and they're encouraging.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with everybody. Period. Like, it's. I mean, my God, your dad told you to write that story. I mean, granted, you might have overdone it just a bit, but but that's still awesome. Like, I wish I could write 100 pages of that. But you ended up doing the 9 character one at school. So if you had to go back and rewrite it now, would you maybe change some things up in it, or would you still keep some of it as it is?
I don't know. I mean, I've edited it so many times at this point. Like, even after Madlab, I was like, oh, well, I think I could do a lot of things differently, and I think I could do a lot of things better. So I went through and I changed it, and then the one I ended up putting on was, like, so different from the one I submitted to Madlab. But I liked it so much more. So
That's good. Well, okay, so being that I've seen the 1 stage reading, which one did you do?
I did To Be Human. That was the first one.
I'll go from your perspective, and then I'll switch over to Tay's for a second. When you got accepted to Young Writers, so again, the outsider perspective, it's boom, 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 and it's there. What's really going on? Like, what all did you have to do to get from, you got accepted to being in the short program to getting the short performed here in June?
Well, first...
Oh, July.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? This is why I did that at the intro later.
Well, first, Tay actually sent me... I had her send me all of her, like, initial comments and stuff, because I'm the kind of person that wants to, like, get stuff done right away. So after I got accepted, I got all my critiques and stuff, and then I just kind of went through and edited just a little bit, because I honestly wasn't that satisfied with my first one that I submitted, and I was, like, really shocked that it got picked. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And then we had our first little meeting, all these workshops and stuff, and from there I kind of was like, what else can I do from what I learned in the workshops to make it better? And then we had our stage reading, and I just went through and edited again. So it was basically just a lot of, like, thinking about what I had, fixing it, and then kind of taking some time away, and then going back again and fixing it.
Okay. Now before we switch over, I have to ask, do you play The Sims a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a valid question. Yes. Real quick before we cut over to Tay's perspective real quick, can you just say real quick what it's about?
So basically, it's about this girl who's trying to apply for colleges, and she's having trouble, like, focusing and figuring out her own life because she keeps getting so caught up in, like, living vicariously through The Sims and trying to, like, avoid all of her problems. And so then her sim comes to life and tells her pretty much to get her crap together.
That's interesting. You are correct. But no, it's really good. By
Thank
the way,
you.
And that was like the first performance one that I saw.
Yeah, I had to leave early.
oh yeah, well yeah, it was really good, and I don't even know who they have. Do you know who they have cast in that?
I do not know.
Okay, so I mean, I was surprised because usually sometimes in the stage readings, there's like, I mean, everyone who does it, acting wise, does a really good job too, and I was like, it was well written and well performed. Like,
yeah,
like wow, and this is just the reading. Okay, so from Tay's perspective as the mentor, what's up? What?
No, I mean, I guess I'm just deciding at like what level to like take you into what goes on at the mentorship. I guess the first thing is in terms of the selection, the mentors actually play a part in that.
Okay.
So it is the mentors who are in the room sorting out through all of the different plays that we get. I think we had over 50 this year to go through total in terms of the submittals. So we rank them. We come with our rankings. They're all put into a big exotic, beautiful Colleen spreadsheet, and then we debate, and we figure out, which are the 10 that we are actually going to take into the program. After we make the selections and decide on who is going to be the mentor for which play, they ask us to get in contact with them, and then they're also assigned a national mentor who is a playwright. Oh, you didn't know this.
I did not know this. No.
Yes, a real playwright out in the real world.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got really, really lucky. We got Tira Palmquist.
Oh,
yeah. Madlab has put up a couple of her works. I remember The Age of Bees, the full length, several years ago.
I feel like there was another one she did recently before.
I think there was one too. I can't remember.
It's not Katesh is. Sorry, I'm going through all the Madlab shows in the last 2 years since I've been there as an ensemble. I'm just like, because that name sounds super familiar.
Yeah.
Sorry. What other people do you have, guys, or that you know of?
Oh, that I know of.
Yeah. Is Christopher Lockhart one of them?
Christopher Lockhart is one of them. I got to work with him again this year too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He is awesome.
He's amazing.
We do some other short programs that he will submit scripts in. And he's also done one or two at Theater Roulette, which is another program at Madlab, and they're always really unique and really they're a lot of fun. So that's awesome.
Well, and I can say too, the interesting thing about Tira and Christopher, it was very interesting to work with both of them and see the way that they gave notes. Tira's notes, if you remember, they were very pointed. They were like page 6, this line.
Yeah,
page
they were
7,
so
this
detailed.
Line. They were very detailed, page to page. Christopher's were stories where you kind of got the moral of them and figured out how to apply it to your play.
So he was trying to tell you like an Aesop and Son kind of story about what the note was, and you have to hopefully.
Well, and Christopher.
And I say this with love to Christopher, of course.
Again, of course, I'm doing something that I'm not sure that I'm supposed to do and everything. So Christopher was the one that I worked with Jules.
Okay.
Tira was the one. It's one national mentor to one high school.
I got you. Okay. So where is it just those two is for you guys, for the two that you had?
We only had one. We only had Tira.
Well, sorry. I meant you as a mentor. Sorry. For the two that you had, like Kara and the other student. So you had both of them. Were there other mentors, national mentors besides those two?
There's 10 plays, 10 student writers. And
10
then
national
10 national mentors.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I didn't know if maybe they split it up, maybe there's there were 5 or. Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's awesome. I really did not know that part about the program.
So with me when I start, I usually send an introductory welcome. Hey, I'm going to be your mentor on Tay, everything, and then I ask.
And she says it exactly like that.
Yeah. You can hear my voice in the email.
Yes, you can.
But sometimes. They just want to see it up right away. They don't want any feedback or anything like that. I love it when they do want feedback right away because that makes me feel like, okay, they're really into it. They really want to learn from this. They really want to get everything they can out of it. So Kara, she did say that she wanted feedback before the first reading. So I just gave it a read, gave her my initial thoughts, notes, some overarching things, some particulars, nothing too fundamentally challenging to make her feel like she had to completely change everything in the couple weeks.
Everything we haven't started yet. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so it's just a general thing. But then after each reading, the way that the readings are structured, they have it set up so that everybody in the room is able to give. They list things that they liked about the play first, and then they give some constructive feedback for things that, suggestions or things that they think could be improved or questions that they had about it. And then the students get a chance to ask them any questions that they had about that as well.
So which is nice because you have the other writers in the Young Writers program be a part of that and they can offer feedback. And then you have the actors who have no idea, because do you guys all get together where the whole group is together and do anything like that, like do writing exercises or anything like that, and then go off in separate ways?
You guys had the workshops.
Yeah. We had a couple workshops during our first meet and greet thing, but that was the only time that we were getting together, talking about writing, and then everything else was kind of separate, on your own, you're editing.
Okay. So when you write, do you listen to music or do anything like that, or do you?
More recently, I listen to music and do it because when I write, I kind of have to be in the mood of the show. So for this show, I was listening to a lot of music that made me feel really nostalgic or just a lot of nostalgic feeling music.
What's nostalgic for you, by the way? So I can
I don't
feel
know.
really old
Like
in
I
this.
listened to a lot of Owl City when I was writing this.
Owl City. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of like
I
very
think of one
like
song
soft indie music, I guess.
Okay. See, I think they did the song from Wreck-It Ralph at the end of Wreck-It Ralph. That's the only thing I know.
Oh,
When
yeah.
Will I See You Again? That's the only song I know by them.
I loved Owl City as a kid, so that's like where it takes me.
That's cool. So sometimes when I write, I can listen to music, but other times if I'm too in the zone, then it becomes too distracting because then I start whatever, and it creates too much noise up here, which is not a good thing. Okay, so this is interesting. So did you? This is something that I catch myself doing, and so I want to throw out there. Do you catch yourself having any like crutches when you write? Like you find yourself saying certain words a little bit too much, so like both characters saying it. Now in yours, it could be that character is also the same person, so it could or could not make sense. But like when you're writing your other 100-page story or the other play you wrote at school, any of the 9 characters say something similar, you might have had to fix it later, but that you caught.
Yeah, one of the things I say way too much when I write is I mean. Like before every sentence, it's like, I mean this happens, or like, I mean this. And one time I was going through and editing, I think I was editing like my first draft of it, and I found I mean in there on like every page, like every 3 lines, and I was like, oh no! Because I wrote it so fast, and I was just like,
So was there any times that Tay was when I was like, there's a few I means in here?
No, I got rid of those real fast.
Okay.
I will tell you too, your actors will always thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because those colloquialisms are so
They make
difficult
it
for
so
actors
long.
to remember where they go, when they happen.
Yeah. So like for some reason I say this out loud too, but I'll say like I digress. And sometimes I will just throw that in, and it's like, no, not everyone digresses at all times.
And not everybody, but all the time either.
Yeah, but you are correct. You know,
There's so many colloquialisms that I just want to.
Oh yeah.
Not in yours in particular, but just in general.
No, yeah. Totally. So are you a junior or a senior?
I'm a junior.
Junior. Are you going to not subscribe? Are you going to try out again for next year's?
Maybe.
Or
I probably
is this
will.
the top for you? Like you've reached the top.
I'm better than this now. I'm moving on. I see brighter
produced at
horizons.
Madlab. I'm going away.
No, I'll probably do another one next year. I'm also looking at online, like at a bunch of other playwriting stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try to write as much as I can this summer.
So now taking a different turn, kind of. You said that you were in drama class. Does that mean you also like to act too?
Yeah.
Did you try out for Young Writers itself?
No.
Because I think this is that I'm aware of. This is the first time we never say no teenagers or whoever apply, but like we really this year said we need kids and.
Well, there were 2 plays this year that had kids written into them.
Yeah, I was one of the little kids in that one. It was a very weird thing. Me and Sam Clemens were brother and sister, or brother and sister. Wow, brother and brother, and but no, so there was.
Well, they've always encouraged any of the playwrights and any of the friends, like they reach out to the teachers and let them know about auditions too and everything. So anyone who is part of the program or knows about the program is encouraged to audition. And actually, the play that I directed 2 years ago, I did actually cast one of the high school kids.
Oh wow!
Who had come out for auditions. And I keep calling you kids. Is that insulting? I'm sorry.
No,
that's a good point. Is that I mean,
no,
it makes you feel better. We're old people, young. Now. So to quote The Simpsons, that's like my
Handshakes fist at cloud.
Yeah, man shakes fist at cloud. I'm just like, I'm
asking you, what's that band again?
What's the band again? Out City? I don't know. So what other stuff inspires you? Like what creates, like what gives your brain activity? Like what feeds your brain? Like it could be anything. It could be books. It could just be taking walks. Like what feeds that?
Honestly, everything. Like music definitely is one of the main things. Like a certain like feeling I get from music makes me want to like write a certain kind of thing, and like just life experiences or like what's happening around me. Like for this one, like I was playing The Sims and my brother was complaining about his college essays, and I was like, oh, a story, a play.
Well, so for a second, I was trying not to ask the obvious one where I was like, so was this really about you? No. Because I mean, when you're in high school, that is a thing too that you have to deal with, is you have to apply for colleges, and And sometimes that is the answer, is like, yeah, that was what I was freaking out about and whatever, which is totally fine. That it's not. That's, yeah, but sorry. So what other stuff, like, I mean, everything, but like what in particular? So music's one of them.
Music, just stuff around me. Like things that I'll read. Like I'll read a story and I'll be like, oh, I really like this, but what if this was happening instead of what was happening in the story? And I'll take kind of like what's in that story and like the main kind of theme of it, and then I'll just put it in my own little world, I guess.
Okay. How would you classify the Sims? Which would it be kind of fantasy, but not it's grounded fantasy?
Are you speaking about her play?
About her play. Sorry, not the game.
Sci-fi?
More sci-fi, I guess.
Sci-fi, if it was something like that.
Well, no. So do you gravitate towards certain genres when you write too?
I typically do realistic fiction or fantasy. So, because I like the fantastical element, I think it's fun to play around with.
Sure.
I'm not a huge fan of like historical fiction. It's just so complicated with like I'm not a huge fan of researching things, so that's just kind of limiting there.
Okay, so you might not like research, but do you ever? Well, so obviously you've technically done research while playing The Sims.
Yeah, but so
some of that.
It's more fun research.
It's more fun research. Okay, fair enough. Because I was about ready to ask, is like if you ever wrote a story where even you didn't have to do a lot of it, but you had to do some research, and was it like just mind-numbing?
A little Google search doesn't kill me, but it's when I have to like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when I have to like look in depth about things, or if I have to like look up a book about something and read the whole thing. I'm not.
Okay. Well, because sometimes I'll like see an article on the Smithsonian, or NASA will post something, and I'm like, oh, that's fascinating, and I share it on social media, but I also like it or something, so I can go like, I know to get that later because there's something in there that I just sparked something. I'm like, I want to go back to that.
Yeah, my Instagram, my saved thing is just full of things that like gave me an idea at one point. So
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other stuff do you like to do besides writing? Like, you obviously you're drama, you're acting a little bit too, but what other stuff do you like to?
I mean, honestly, that's pretty much all I have time for.
Oh, you have time for? You don't do any sports or anything like that?
No. Yeah, I do a lot of acting, a lot of writing. Jeez, I really don't do anything else.
You don't do anything else? That's okay though. Okay, so acting-wise, high schools do musicals. Do you do musicals?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not super good at singing, but I do like ensemble.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. To get into ensemble, usually you have to be kind of decent.
I did choir for a little bit, so that's, yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm good at singing in groups, not by myself.
Yeah, so if we did do the scale, you would just, it would be bad. Unless one of us sang with you. Okay. No. What role in a musical do you really want to do?
Oh, that's hard. I really like Be More Chill.
What's that?
It was this off-Broadway musical for a while, and then it closed down I think 6 months after it debuted. Recently, it's been really popular, and I discovered it really recently too. And I honestly don't know where it started and why it started trending again, but everyone on social media and stuff was like, "Oh, Be More Chill is really good." And then it got so much fame from social media that it's actually on Broadway now.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I got to see it in New York and it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really liked it. I like Brooke's role in that, or Chloe. They're not the main leads, but
Sure.
Supporting leads, I'd say.
Okay. Do you see yourself more as a supporting lead and not going to be in the...
Most female roles that are leading are soprano, and I am not a soprano.
You're an alto?
Yeah.
Okay. That was something
alto leaning on tenor.
Okay, yeah. Welcome to the dark side. We have cookies. I'm a tenor, kind of tenor 1, tenor 2. Okay, so what musicals and stuff have you done while at school? Because that's always fascinating, too.
We did Into the Woods this year.
That's kind of a hard one to do.
It was very hard. It was such a long process, but it ended up being really good.
Who were you in that?
I was just in the ensemble. So there's not really an ensemble for it, since it's mostly just leads. Mm-hmm. And my teacher kind of wanted to keep it with just the leads, but so me and 2 other girls were any small role that needed to be filled, pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we were the birds that came in, so we had little bird puppets, and then we were the Cinderella step family's carriage. So we had 2 people being horses, and I was the coachman. And then we were we did this thing, we were reenactors. So during the I think it was,
you have the reenactors?
We had the screen come down and we did shadows telling the story. So during Cinderella's song, we had we like kind of told Cinderella's story through shadows. So we had one girl in like a Cinderella silhouette, I guess. So it wasn't like a costume. Like the dress did not look anything like it, but the shape of it was right. So she was like, pulling at her shoes. She was like, we had like kind of mini dances too, and then I was Cinderella's prince, so I got this big like coat. I got to like run on.
Did you have to do something with your hair? Because right now,
well, the person we had Cinderella playing Cinderella's prince wore this like long wig.
I thought you were the prince.
No, I was the shadow.
Oh, you were in the shadow. I meant
I was the shadow.
That's what I meant.
But Cinderella's actual prince had like this long wig on, and it looked so funny.
Okay,
so I just left my hair as it was.
Because I was just like, but. One of the things I'm with, we did that recently. The shadow thing, it's super hard.
Yeah, it was difficult.
And the people, we were doing it to a live speech where they were improvising, like god-awful. I never want to do it again. Actually, everyone who did it, like, it was pretty much these all but done people. We were just like, why are we doing this? We don't understand. We perform with our voices.
Yeah.
It was very weird. So I can't even imagine how hard that was to me because
we did practice it a lot, except our light kept breaking. It was so terrible. It was so we were really scared it was just going to stop working in the middle of it, but it was all fine. It all worked out really well.
Was there anyone in the group that was that person that was just like doing the bunny ears thing and just doing that?
But everyone else in the cast liked to mess with it. We were like, stop, we're practicing.
It's like, this is our moment. And everyone else was doing it. See, I feel like I would be the one that would be doing that if it was me behind the thing.
We did goof around with it a little bit.
That's the best stuff. Are you a musical person, Tay? I think I might be. Uh-oh.
No.
It's okay. Come back.
Not that I don't like them. I just haven't had much exposure. I mean, that's the funny thing is being in the theater community or world, everybody assumes that you know everything about theater.
That is true.
Yeah.
Like, especially people that I work with, they'll talk about theater, and I just look at them and blink. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I don't know. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't. I do the same. People do the same thing. It's like, do you remember that thing from that whatever? I'm like, nope, I don't know. Like, someone asked me, there's an Addams Family musical. They're like, do you know about? I didn't even know that. They're like, yeah, we just came from the Addams Family musical. You probably know it. And I was like, no. Was it good? Like, who was in the original Broadway cast? And then Nathan Lane, Bebe Neuwirth. You're just like, cool, good names, and I know they can sing real well, but I still have no concept of the thing. And so it's fine. So with writing, do you want to do one of the things where you write and act in your own thing?
I don't know. I feel like for me, writing a play and acting in it is kind of like reading out your poetry to the whole class, where it's like, you know what you wrote is good, but it's so embarrassing to do it yourself.
I got you. Even if you were a supporting role in it where you're not the lead?
Yeah. I mean,
fair enough.
When I was doing my show at my school, we do this, it was for one acts. So for one acts, my drama teacher picks I think we had 5 shows, so we had 5 one-act shows. Mm-hmm. And then we each got to direct our own, so I directed my play that I wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was such a cool experience, but a lot of the time I was like, I just wanted to jump in there and deliver the lines myself so I could be like, this is how you're supposed to say it. And then I would tell them how to do it, and sometimes I would do that. Cause,
So you got to learn too, which I had to learn hard last time. Some actors don't like line readings. Other times they do.
Yeah.
Most of them don't. Well, sometimes I'm just if they see something try it a different way and you're not getting it, I'm just like, can you just give me the line reading?
Yeah.
I would like to do it. But no, you were right. A lot of people do not. And so then it's and also these are your friends too.
Yeah.
It's not like sometimes when we at Madlab do a show, sometimes you might not know the person coming into audition if they get the role. It's also just I don't know you that well. So then it's just that.
So it's easier to be meaner to you?
No, it's not. It's not actually. To me, it's not easier at all. Actually, it's not. And it's not being mean. It's just but you feel it's mean because it's they might have worked really hard on that before they got to that rehearsal to deliver that line that way, and that's how they're thinking the character is. And you're like, that's not how I'm seeing it right now. Yeah. And it's really hard. So see. You've already been through the gamut. I feel like you've directed, you're in. You're a triple threat. I mean, are you going to go for, was it the EGOT award, the EGOTs, the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Oscar, and the Tony? You get to buy a really cool thing.
That'd be fun. I don't know if I'd ever get there though.
I don't know. First off, you have a really great support structure.
That's true.
I'm not kidding.
They're so good.
That went off when you talked about your dad, and it's I want a story by the end of summer. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Wow. And then also you have your teacher who referred you to, you know, I mean, which is good. That means, because sometimes I'm speaking generalized, I'm not saying all, but like, sometimes it's more like, I got this, I have to give it to you. But no, like they're telling people and they're supporting the arts and getting you guys out there to do it.
Isn't EGOT actually made up?
It was made up, but now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
I think it's because of 30 Rock.
It was 30 Rock.
Yeah, it was. Well, I think someone else said it as a joke, and then 30 Rock, like in real life, I think not Denzel, somebody like that made a joke. Like, yeah, I call it an EGOT, and then like Tina Fey took and ran with it. And I think, yeah, because then Tracy Morgan playing Tracy Jordan. He came in with a necklace that said EGOT. He was like, well, Liz Lemon, I'm missing one. And you're just like, what? How did he get that far? Like, okay, well, so keeping on that in mind, what TV shows do you like really, really get into?
I really like Lucifer. I just watched the 4th season.
On Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I like Sherlock, too. I like a lot of crime-solving shows, which is funny because I don't like writing that kind of stuff because it's so complicated to write.
Interesting.
But I love watching it because it's so interesting.
So I've talked to other writers, and just in general across the board, young and old, and when I talk to them, sometimes you notice a weird shift, which is I like to write fiction, but it's like there's maybe a little comedic edge to it or whatever. But then it's like, I watch hardcore crime stuff. Or if it's like I do the hardcore crime stuff, I just want to watch comedies all day. Or that's what I get into. Movies, like, you know. I find that to be there's a weird schism there. I don't know if it's because it's like you're just stuck, your brain's thinking in that mode all the time. It's like that's the way you relax, or...
I don't know. I think it's because I'm just really no good at writing crime things. I'm not good at writing, like, any of that kind of mystery stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just interesting to, like, see it, I guess, and just kind of experience it without having to make it myself. Do
you feel like at some point, though, you might challenge yourself to try to write one?
I would like to. I would really love to write, like, a murder mystery. I think they're so fun. Mm-hmm. They're just so, like, cool. There's so many things you can do with them.
Have you ever read or seen any of the Agatha Christie stuff? Like,
yeah, I've read And Then There Were None, obviously, because schools make me. But, yeah, I've definitely looked at other stuff, though.
Oh, I forget those days. Like, I had to read Lord of the Flies.
I actually kind of like Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies is really good.
It was just interesting.
Super depressing, though, because you're just like, this is deep. Should we be getting this deep right now with other kids about this topic? Like, because it's really, it was
a lot for freshman year.
Oh, you guys did it we did it our junior year.
We did Lord of the Flies, Animal Farm.
That's the one I was going to mention.
And Then There Were None.
That one's pretty intense, too.
So it's weird. When I was in 9th grade, I was in honors English. And they let us pick the books we wanted, which was neat. And then the sophomore year, but still, they were higher books. So, like, I did War and Peace, which I don't know why I did. Well, I'm not going to lie. Maybe my grades weren't doing as good, and that was a Hail Mary pass on that one, just because... Yeah, I don't do well with definitions or doing that whole stuff. But when it came to writing the book reports, I was actually really good. But she's like, if you do one of the big books, and most of them were Victor Hugo, like was it Les Mis, Tolstoy's War and Peace, Anna Karenina was there too. Like, dear God, like I decided to go after that. And also, I read the other one that which was way smarter, was Steinbeck of Mice. Have you read of Mice and Men? I like the book, but it's really slow to get into it, and I
really didn't like it until the end.
Right, which is it's weird when you say that in general, because that's how I felt. It's just like, oh, this is interesting now. What's going to happen with Lenny and George? Oh, that's really sad. That's a bummer. I mean, actually, it was a little bit sad before then with Lenny and the rabbits, George. But so you don't think? Yeah. So let's get back to it. You don't think you're going to do an EGOT? No,
I don't think so.
I feel like you could.
Well, I think where we
one day
might want to delve back into the conversation was when you said about how you may want to challenge yourself with writing a mystery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I find that that's kind of one of the things that I do. Like if I had my Instagram in my brain or something like that, I just kind of absorb things for years and years and years and years and years in a way, in my leisure time and activities and everything. And then all of a sudden it'll start to coagulate into something that sparks an idea of it. Mm-hmm. So you may be on that kind of track where you're collecting and processing and remembering and filtering and doing things.
I think one day I will.
Haven't quite bubbled to the surface yet. But.
Have you read, and maybe your parents might not let you read this, so I apologize if not. It's not. I don't think it's bad. Stephen King's On Writing.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest advice, and I hate to spoil it for people, but there really is no way to just live life.
Yeah.
And when you read that, though, and he even says at the beginning, he's like, if this is the book you're looking for tips, you're not going to find it here. Mm-hmm. And it's really just the story of his life.
Yeah.
And he's just like, doing this, and this one dog, my motorcycle broke down, I had to drop it off to this guy, and the dog scared the crap out of me. Cujo. But then he doesn't go any more further into it. He just goes into... This is how I met my wife.
Experience and contributing to
exactly.
Thoughts and inspiration.
And then you realize that's just so brilliant. And so, you're doing that right now. You're just collecting the experiences of watching Benedict Cumberbatch just kill that performance as Sherlock Holmes. By the way, did you see Avengers Endgame?
Yes.
Were you a little disappointed they didn't say no blank Sherlock to each other?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because, I was waiting for it.
So Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes in the Guy Ritchie films in Hollywood, and then in the BBC, Benedict Cumberbatch did Sherlock. He did Sherlock Holmes. And they're both in that movie, Iron Man and Doctor Strange. And it was like, there's plenty of time when he can sit there and go like, no, one more moment. This is the one shot.
Yeah.
And you can go, no, Sherlock. Yeah. And then, sorry, that was that's the risque part of the conversation today. So what other things challenge you as a writer then? So mystery, obviously, murder, mystery. Would it thriller? Because sometimes thrillers are not necessarily murder mysteries. But they can be, but sometimes they're not exclusive.
It doesn't have to be a body.
I don't know. I haven't really written much thriller stuff, but I think that I could. I mean, for me, I think I'd be better at doing a thriller if it were a short story instead of a play. Because to me, like, writing a thriller is more about, like, the description and about, like...
That's true.
Because if I were to do a thriller play, I feel like it'd depend more on, like, the actors to create that mood, to create, like, the suspense, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, I think I'd probably do a short story for it, but not necessarily a play.
Yeah, I think piggybacking on that, I'd never thought of it this way before, but, when you talk about, dramas are usually more emotional. Mm-hmm. Rather than like situational. There's some situational ones that come in, but in terms of thrillers, I'm going through my head trying to think of a thriller.
Right,
play.
Like the only thing I can think of, and it's not a play, and it's a weird movie. It's obscure probably now. It's a movie called Antitrust, and it's Ryan Philippe and Tim Robbins, where it's like Tim Robbins plays like a Bill Gates when he was still in charge of Microsoft kind of guy. And he's doing, and this other guy, he buys a startup firm and molds them into his company. It looks like it's the perfect job, and then he starts seeing that something's weird in the software that they're building, and he thinks that he's doing something criminal. Is he, or is he not, or is it he's just seeing things like little things? People start disappearing. You never see the body. And then sometimes they will show back up, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? So it kind of becomes a thriller. Mm-hmm. That's the closest thing I can think of. Is usually there's always a body, or that becomes an action play, or otherwise. That's the natural progression of things. It goes that way. Do you have any other little things that when you write that you maybe put in? So something I learned, and in fact, I try to not do it because it's a trope, which is water usually means danger in stories.
Oh.
Like if there's a focus on water.
Yeah.
And that completely just, I don't get it. But like, especially, it was a big thing in plays in the 50s, and then it transitioned into movies, supposedly. And then, so like if you watch movies and there's always like water, that means, it's not just rain. It's like a character falls into a pit of water.
Or even steps in a puddle or something.
Even that, it's foreshadowing that something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen, which I just find to be such an interesting... Or I think there was one movie where the character, it was a rom-com, the character guy's drinking water, and that was a sign that something bad was going to happen to him soon. I'm like, really? That's the clue? I mean, okay. But do you have any tropes like that where you catch yourself doing it, like, no, I'm not gonna...
I don't know.
Or any tropes that you do like that you would like to play around with, I guess I would say would be...
I don't think I do anything, like, repeatedly, just because the stuff that I write is kind of like... I try to keep it like as different from each other as possible.
That's good, by the way. That's really good.
Yeah, I always get bored of my own writing, so.
So in your process of writing, do you start writing something and then get bored with it and then move on to something else and then maybe come back to it, or does it just kind of sit
pretty
there?
much. unless it's an idea that I really like and really hold on to. I don't necessarily do it that much for plays, because for plays, if I'm not immediately hooked on the idea, and if I can't immediately see where I'm going with it, or really want to do it, then I can't even get to the first line. I can't even get past that initial description. But with other writing, stories and stuff, I can go a long time before I kind of burn out on it, where it's
right.
it was initially interesting, but now I just kind of lose interest in it.
Do you do free writing first when you write and just write whatever, or do you write a synopsis free writing, or do you just...
Well, usually I usually have an idea that I'm going with, and then sometimes I'll do a plot outline if I kind of think I know where I'm going with it.
Sure.
But then other times it's just kind of the initial idea for the beginning of something, so I'll just kind of go and then see where that takes me. Typically, it's I'll do a plot outline.
So, from the things that you've written, is there anything that's been it just completely derailed from where you thought it was going, and then you went back and corrected it? And made it better and that kind of thing?
Yeah, right now, my other friend also really likes to write, so sometimes we'll do stuff together. And right now we're working on this one, story thing, I guess, but since it's the two of us, it's 100 pages now, you know?
So editing, how's that going to go?
I don't know. That's going to be a process.
Do it on Google Drive, just share it back and forth.
But we originally had this whole, I don't even know, I think we sort of had an idea of what we were doing, but then kind of as we started creeping up to the part where things are about to happen, we were maybe we should discuss where we're going with this, just so because it's, there's two people. I mean, obviously our ideas are going to get mixed. It's probably better if we figure out what we're doing here.
So writing with a partner can be difficult and challenging in its own right. Man, you're just doing everything, which is, I'm very impressed by this. So have you guys ever found where you guys are just way completely on different wavelengths about things, and other times you guys are right there on the same path and you just didn't know it?
I mean, usually we're pretty much seeing the same ideas.
Sure. Granted, I mean, but this is before you got to the point where you started officially talking.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty much my soulmate, so we always have the same exact ideas about things. So, she always ends up driving me home from school. So we'll, on the way home, we'll start talking about it, and then we'll both start getting really excited about it and be like, oh yeah, well what if we did this? And then I'll be like, oh well, what about this? And then we both have this idea, and we're like, oh my god, we'll do this, and we'll kind of get the same idea, and we'll bounce off each other a lot. So it's not necessarily one of us is coming up with an idea and then someone else is, and then we're talking about it. It's more we kind of come up with everything together. So it's a lot more collaborative, I think.
Okay.
So you guys have a shared baseline of understanding of it. But then what you're talking about is maybe sometimes when you're going in and doing the actual writing, if you start to veer off somewhere where you guys haven't kind of agreed on what's going on, then it could get a little more difficult.
Yeah. And at that point, we'll kind of just stop and be like, wait, what are you writing right now?
So do you do something where you guys are doing it on a cloud, shared drive through Google, so you can see each other, and then you're like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
What did she just do? Our story!
And vice versa too. To be fair to your friend, it's also what is?
So typically, it's if she writes something that I'm like, what's happening? I'll kind of be I'll go on my phone and be I'll text and I'll be like, what are you writing right now?
Live time as she's writing it too.
Yeah,
it's hilarious that you guys have these two open channels and one is critiquing the other.
Right. But see that's a great thing too, that you have someone that you can do that, and because sometimes it can be writing is personal. Yeah. Especially, I mean, there are some people that never get over that hump of taking critiques well, and it took me a while to get just realize it's the best for the writing. It's okay, because sometimes you ask for it, but then when people give it to you and you don't ask for it, you're like, oh. Thank you. And then you're but I poured my heart and soul into this, and it's no. But it's just no, it's all about making it better. They're trying to help you. Yeah. And even if it's not requested, you can still take something from it. Maybe it's not the thing they think they're giving you, but there's something else you can take from it, which is always fun.
Well, and that's one of the things that I did too. I think when I would send you notes, I would always try to not just give you the note from anybody else, whether it was Tira or whether it was any feedback that we got from the readings, but I would kind of put my interpretation and spin on it too, and say, okay, this is something maybe you should consider, or I think you solved this here, I don't think we need to worry about that, and everything like that. So I hope I helped at least temper,
I think it
any
was
kind
This whole
of
thing was just
response to it.
validation for Tay.
Yes,
the whole
I am
time.
very good job.
It's like, did I do good? You done good. You done good. No, I'm kidding. Meanwhile, Tay's like, I was serious. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up here. Do you have anything else you want to plug, play, talk about, whatever here, like writing-wise? Anything you want to... Random thoughts into the ether?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, Kara, it was an absolute pleasure. I'm very excited to see the final version of this one because that one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed
To be human.
To be human. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, because I'm just like the sim one.
That was my fault. That's what I said.
No, that's okay. And then also there'll be someone with glasses like, excuse me, to be human. Well, also the other thing is there's that other one where there's like the robotic person and the girls have the one girl has the crush on the. Which was also good, but like that's why I was like, was that the one that was It's like the simp. I mean, it's kind of simulated because it's real. Oh no, you meant the actual Sims one. I got you.
No, I couldn't remember the name of my play for like the first couple of weeks I was writing it. And people would be like, "Oh, what's your play called?" I'd be like, hold on. I'd like look it up.
Well, so sorry, it was something I wanted to say this earlier, but when you were just like, I don't want to like perform in my own stuff.
Yeah.
I had to do that once, and it was the weirdest thing because if I didn't know the line, like, but when I write something, I kind of put it out there, like even in a draft form, and I don't remember. So then I had to memorize my own lines. It was horrible.
It's kind of scary how difficult that is.
It is because, like, you had one of the scenes was with Laura, the artistic director at Madlab, and she was just like, "You should know this by now. You wrote this. You wrote this." And I was just like, yeah. And it started this weird thing where to remember the line, I had because I started with a weird colloquialism. I didn't say that right, I don't think, but I said, "Oh wow," blah 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 blah, and the only thing I could think of was Owen Wilson. And it's like so then the running joke was like, "Oh wow," and so all three of me and the two other actors, Laura, one of them was just like, "Oh wow," blah blah blah. Yeah, so, all right. Well, again, Kara, thank you so much. Tay, thank you so much for being here. And, of course, for writing a great short that we can see performed in July. June. All right. If you want information on the show, on the official dates, go to madlab.net and get your tickets now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Get out of here without cheese! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you showed up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!